What's up, you guys? Story time about that time back in 2024 where I found out I had rhabdomyolysis. Now, if you don't know what rhabdomyolysis is, it's a rare condition. I had no idea what it was when I first got it, but pretty much it's the process where your kidneys want to go into failure, and that can be due to a lot of different things, electrolyte imbalances, just being dehydrated, overtraining yourself, which can be done through weightlifting, running, pretty much anything where there's physical activity involved, really extreme physical activity. And what the doctors told me was typically it's found in like older people or extreme sports. So an elderly woman can easily get rhabdo just by, like, for instance, falling down. But the first time I started to realize that I had rhabdo, or I didn't know that it was actually rhabdo, I just had symptoms where I didn't know what was going on. So the first one was I started seeing blood in my urine, and it was very painful. This happened for maybe a week or two before I actually got seen by I can't remember the name of it, but I got a cystoscopy done, and I had no idea what that was until they started going into detail about what it was. And it's pretty much where they put this long tube and camera down your pee hole in order to look into your kidneys to see, to check for cancer, and just like if everything's going right with your insides, right? So I had that process done. That is a very painful process, and I have PTSD every time I think about it because it is just as painful as it sounds. I would never want to do that again, but everything came back good. They said, you don't have cancer. This was after a couple of days by now, and some weeks that went by, and I started noticing I was getting really bad cramps, or what felt like cramps, in my quads, in my hamstrings. And there was one day where I was leaving, or I was driving, and I just remember feeling a really bad cramp in my right quad and in my hamstring and my glute. It was that entire area. And there would be a point where it would flip-flop from each leg. So there would be pain in one leg, and then it would switch to the other, and then sometimes it would be both legs. Very painful, very painful. Do not recommend. But if you've ever had a Charlie horse cramp, it's similar to that, but I want to say times 10. So just imagine a really bad cramp in your quads, glutes, hamstrings, and at times I even felt it in my chest. So if you've been having these symptoms, then it's probably a good indicator that you have rhabdo. And so there was one morning where I woke up and I thought I was fine, right? But I got out of bed and immediately it hit me. The cramp started hitting me, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So my girlfriend at the time took me to the ER. We got to the ER. They ran a bunch of tests, and by this time I couldn't walk. I needed crutches. So they were like, hey, you just you tested positive for rhabdomyolysis. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And so just like I just explained to you, I had that. And so they bring me in, they admit me, and I'm getting tests. Guys, I was in the hospital for 7 days. 7 days. I literally thought I was dying. I didn't know what to expect because the amount of pain feels like, I always say it like this: imagine jumping off of a 2-story building and like living. That's what it felt like. But you're feeling that while you're alive. And so it felt like I had broken both of my legs. And I want to say they probably sticked me with needles maybe 40 times while I was in the hospital, just to keep testing my blood and running the test to see what my CK levels were. Because at this point, and if you don't know, that's your creatine kinase levels. They were at 44,000 at one point. And I just remember as I'm in the hospital, they weren't going down, they kept going up. So I'm like, that's weird. Like, you know, I've been getting all these IVs, they've been treating me, and they were giving me lactated ringers and just all kinds of IVs and electrolytes. So I remember there was a long stint where it was about maybe 3 hours of constant pain, and there was nothing the nurses could do. No, so they applied heat, they applied cold pads, and nothing seemed to work for 3 hours straight. So I'm literally sitting in the hospital crying for a grown-ass man crying for 3 hours straight because the pain was just unbearable. And I just remember at some point they were like, you know what, let's give him some morphine. I'm like, in my head I'm thinking, why didn't y'all give me morphine a long time ago when I started busting out in tears? So they gave me a little bit of morphine, and I was all drugged up on all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, guys, during that process too, it was a really odd time, right? I had just got done with a bodybuilding competition the week prior. I was supposed to compete in another competition that next weekend, which is the OCB Yorton Cup, which is it's a really popular show where all of the natural bodybuilders, the pros, they compete against each other. And I was supposed to compete in that, and it just so happened I ended up having a rhabdo that weekend, so I couldn't make it. But like I said, the week prior, I was at my other show in Houston, Texas, where I got 4th place. But during this entire process, I didn't realize that I had rhabdo, as I didn't actually get seen until after my competition, because during the competition I had like mild like cramps, and I just thought I was sore. You know, a lot of times when you're going through a bodybuilding prep where you're doing like an extreme sport, you think it's just part of the process, right? You're like, you know, I got to get through this pain because I'm just sore, and I'm not thinking the entire time, like in my head, I'm not thinking that I have this condition. And so yeah, guys, like during this process too, my girlfriend at the time, she left me. I remember it was a weird situation to where she didn't want to go to my shows. She didn't come to the hospital a couple of days, and I'm like, you know, that's kind of weird. And so long story short, she ended up moving out. It was a surprise, like, hi, I'm moving out of nowhere. You know, she had an apartment and everything already set up to leave while I was in the hospital, which is pretty fucked up, right? But a lot of stuff during that time was like, just nothing was going right. And so that was a really traumatic time for me. But, you know, I made it to the other side of that, got through that situation, and I'm in pretty good health now. Like, other than the fact that I'm having knee surgery next month, like I feel good. Like I'm walking around and breathing, and I feel strong. I feel lean. I was running a 6-week cut right now. But yeah, that's my experience with rhabdo. You know, if you have like brown urine, that is a really good indicator that you have blood in your urine and you're probably on the verge of catching rhabdo. If you can catch it early, then you're way better off than I was. I didn't get checked for rhabdo until I had rhabdo for maybe a little longer than a month. If by the time I started seeing blood in my urine, if that was where I actually had rhabdo, then I had it probably for close to a month and a half. So I just wanted to put this video out there for anybody that might be going through the same situation, or you're wondering what rhabdo is. What does it feel like? It's painful as fuck, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, truly. But I hope this video found you guys helpful, and if you got any questions, drop them in the comments below. Leave a like and consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna finish out these 10K steps and enjoy the rest of the day. It's a beautiful day today. Peace, guys.